All right, we're starting a whole new program, and the program is called SketchUp. All right, one of the most important things you can learn in SketchUp is how to move around in it. So I'm going to show you that right now to you, okay? All right, so I'm in SketchUp. Remember, you can get to SketchUp through your Google Apps, that little drop down from any Google website, so YouTube, wherever you are. So when you get there, this is what you're going to see, and we're going to start modeling. There you go. Now don't mind this weird looking guy right here. All right. Every single year that SketchUp's been around, they put a new person in here, and the person mostly belongs to the SketchUp team. So the main tool that we are going to work on today is this tool right here. And you're like, why aren't you starting with the top? Well, let's start with the bottom tool right here. All right. This is the main tool. As you can see, you have basically three main tools, all right? You have, these are your tools to work on stuff. This has everything to do with like saving, loading, exporting, saving on your computer, saving it to the cloud. And right here are basically like attachments, things that can add to your experience. Like you have a little instructor that'll tell you what all the tools do, all right? And if you don't want it, you can close it right there. But let's focus on this tool right here, all right? This is our moving tools. Basically, it's the orbit tool, the pan tool, and three types of zooms, all right? The most important, I believe, is the orbit tool. Before we can even think about using the orbit tool for demonstration purposes, I'm going to make an object that we can orbit around. So I'm going to make a square, and I'm going to put it on the ground. And I'm going to use this tool, which pulls and pushes it. There you go. So the square makes a two-dimensional shape, something flat. And the square then gets pulled and pushed by this tool. It's called the pull and push tool. And that's great. You just made your first 3D object. And if I hit Control Z and go back a space, you can see that one more time. I make a flat shape. And then I use the push or pull to pull that shape out. So I made a flat shape or a two-dimensional shape into a three-dimensional shape. But now I want to work on this shape, all right? And the easiest way to work on this shape is to actually be able to move and manipulate around the shape. If I wanted to work on the back side of this square or cube I made, I would need to be able to see that part of it. So that's where the orbit tool comes and things. I click on the orbit tool, and now I can orbit around my block. And now I can work on this side. I can work on any side that I want. All right. Very cool. The next tool is the pan tool. The pan tool allows you to move left, right, up, or down linearly. Kind of like if you were using your left thumbstick on your controller about moving strafing left, right, and so on and so forth. This one is like movement. This one's more like head control if you were thinking about the left or right joysticks on your PS5, PS4, your Xbox, or so on and so forth. So again, orbit moves around like this, and this is more like your head movement, like with your right thumbstick, and the pan, which is the hand, is more just linear movement. You click and you drag, click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. You are just moving linearly, all right? So say I wanted to see this side of it, I go right here, and I wanted to center it. Then I would take my pan tool and I would click and drag until I centered it. And there you go. All right. The last is orbit. Sorry, last is zoom. Sorry, I said orbit. Last is zoom. Zoom is very simple. Zoom is you click and you hold and you pull back and you pull forward so you can get closer to an object or farther away from the object. Please use zoom. For some reason, it really annoys me that instead of zooming in, a lot of students just look closer at the screen thinking that zooms in things. It does not. The only reason I bring it up is because you'll be surprised how many of your classmates do that, thinking that if I look closer at the screen, it will magically zoom in. No. All right? Just zoom in and zoom out. So this is what all the tools do. Your 3 major tools will do this. But there's shortcuts to these tools. All right? And some shortcuts work on the trackpad, and some, which I highly suggest, get a mouse. All right? Please don't mind the tape holding my mouse together. I really like this mouse. It's weighted, but it's fallen apart on me. I've had it for over 10 years. I just really like it. I don't even think they make my this mouse anymore. So this is how you use it with a mouse. Whatever tool I use, say I'm erasing something, drawing something, or using something, and remember your little instructor can come up and teach you little things. I don't have to go to those 3 movement tools every time that I'm done with it, which is going to save you a lot of time. If I wanted to orbit, I just hold down the middle mouse button, the one with the scroll wheel. If I click that down, it automatically becomes the orbit, and I can move around with it. There you go. So I can always still just draw on my object, and instead of going back here and selecting it, I can just hold down and it becomes the orbit tool. That saves you a lot of time. Since you're probably going to go back and move around hundreds to thousands of times per day with this program, you just saved yourself hundreds or 1,000 clicks. It's going to save you tons of time. The other thing is, say I wanted to move left or right. Well, I can hold down the center button on my mouse and the shift, and now I can move left or right, up and down. Kind of like if I was doing the left thumbstick on my controller, it would just move me linear, left or right, up and down. And if you ever played a first-person shooter, this would be called strafing. All right, if you moved your character left and right. You could still stay on target because you're not moving your head, but you could move left or right. And the last is zoom. Zoom is so simple with the mouse that, ridiculously, you just roll up and down with your mouse, so on and so forth. Now, the trackpad does allow a shortcut with zoom, and this is, I believe it works with the Chromebook. It does work with my Mac, but I don't see why it wouldn't work with the Chromebook. Is you just take 2 fingers and you go up and down, and that will be the same thing. Just like scrolling through a website, you would zoom up and down. And the last thing that I'm going to show you will be like kind of a get out of jail free card. Say that you zoomed so far in that you lost your work, you don't know where you are, you're like, Mr. S, where's my stuff? I zoomed through, all I can see is the ground, nothing works. Right here, and there is this little, like, it's called zoom to extend, to the extents, sorry, of your work. So it will zoom out to fill in all of your work. So if you got too far out or too far in and you got yourself lost, you're just looking at the ground or you're looking at the sky and you don't know what the hell is going on, you just go right here and you hit this button and it will show the full extent of your work. So if you have a lot of work, say that you have a little project out here, little guy out here, and I'm just zoomed on this thing over here. If you hit zoom to extend, it'll get everything that you've worked on, all right? Or if you made a mistake and you zoomed past this and you don't know where anything is, you're like, oh my, and you zoom so far away that you can't even see it, you hit this little zoom to, and it will fill in your work. It's a little get out of free jail card, all right? I hope everybody enjoyed this little video. It's probably one of the most important videos that you'll see for SketchUp, because if you can't move around and actually look at what you want to work on, how do you expect it to work on it? All right. Everybody have a good day. Take care.